When domestic violence survivors leave abusive relationships, they often believe that the battle for safety and normalcy has been won. However, a new and insidious form of abuse frequently emerges: post separation legal abuse that weaponizes the legal system to continue patterns of control and intimidation. While much attention has been focused on the adult survivors, the children caught in these battles endure profound and often overlooked trauma. This video explores the developmental impact of post-separation legal abuse on children at different ages, with particular attention to how the deliberate disruption of the bond with the primary protective parent creates lasting psychological wounds. By examining these effects across developmental stages, from infancy through adolescence, we can better understand the full scope of this hidden crisis and develop more effective interventions to protect its youngest victims. Post-separation legal abuse represents a calculated continuation of domestic violence through manipulation of family courts, custody proceedings, and related legal systems. Abusers employ various tactics to maintain control over their former partners, including filing excessive motions, making false allegations, prolonging proceedings to exhaust resources, and most damagingly, attempting to sever or disrupt the child's relationship with the protective parent. This deliberate disruption of attachment bonds serves multiple purposes for the abuser. It punishes the former partner for leaving, eliminates the protective influence of the other parent, and establishes the abuser as the central authority in the child's life. For children, this legal warfare creates what psychologists term attachment trauma, a profound disruption to their sense of safety, security, and relational foundation. Unlike physical abuse, which leaves visible marks, the wounds of legal abuse are invisible, but equally devastating, affecting brain development, emotional regulation, and the ability to form healthy relationships throughout life. The impact varies significantly based on developmental stage, with each period presenting unique vulnerabilities and potential long-term consequences. Infancy and toddlerhood, birth to age 3, the foundation of attachment under siege. During the first 3 years of life, children develop their foundational understanding of trust, security, and relationships through consistent, responsive caregiving. Post-separation legal abuse during this critical period disrupts the formation of secure attachment in particularly devastating ways. Infants and toddlers experience legal abuse often present with disrupted attachment patterns. When courts order forced separation from the primary attachment figure or create unpredictable visitation schedules, infants develop insecure or disorganized attachment styles. They may become unusually withdrawn, fail to seek comfort when distressed, or show contradictory behaviors like simultaneously approaching and avoiding the caregiver. Regulatory system dysfunction. The constant stress of legal battles, including tense exchanges between parents and unfamiliar environments, overwhelms infants' developing nervous systems. This manifests as excessive crying, feeding difficulties, sleep disturbances, and failure to thrive. The chronic activation of stress hormones during this sensitive period can permanently alter brain structures related to emotional regulation. Developmental delays. The emotional and cognitive energy diverted to coping with relational instability can result in delays in language, motor skills, and social emotional development. These children may appear unusually alert or frozen in social situations, having learned to constantly monitor their environment for threats and physical symptoms without medical cause. Toddlers can express psychological or often toddlers often express psychological distress through physical symptoms like recurrent stomach aches, headaches, and other somatic complaints that have no identifiable medical origin. The most tragic aspect of legal abuse during this period is that it occurs when children lack the cognitive ability to understand what is happening. They experience the profound loss of their primary relationship without being able to contextualize it, creating what attachment researchers call relational trauma that becomes encoded in their biological and psychological systems. Early childhood, ages 4 to 7, the emerging self under attack. During ages 4 to 7, children develop their sense of self, understanding of family dynamics, and the ability to navigate social relationships. Post-separation legal abuse during this period attacks these emerging capacities with particular cruelty. Children in this age group typically exhibit magical thinking and self-blame. Preschoolers often believe that they are responsible for their parents' conflicts and court battles. They may engage in excessive good behavior, hoping to reunite their family or stop the fighting. When court orders separate them from their primary caregiver, they frequently conclude that they are bad or unlovable. Emotional dysregulation. These children often struggle with managing their feelings, resulting in frequent tantrums, aggression, or unusually withdrawn behavior. They may regress to earlier developmental stages like bedwetting, thumb sucking, or baby talk as attempts to secure comfort and attention. Conflicted loyalties. As their cognitive abilities develop, children become acutely aware of the conflicts between their parents. They may feel forced to choose sides, particularly when one parent engages in alienating behaviors or makes negative comments about the other. This creates profound loyalty conflicts that damage their developing moral compass. Anxiety and hypervigilance. Children living with the uncertainty of legal battles develop heightened anxiety, particularly around transitions between homes. They may become excessively worried about their parents' safety, their own future, or potential changes in living arrangements. Social difficulties. The emotional energy consumed by family stress often leaves little room for typical peer relationships. These children may struggle with sharing empathy and appropriate social boundaries, reflecting the disrupted attachment patterns they have internalized. The deliberate disruption of the bond with the protective parent during this period is particularly damaging as children are developing their internal working models of relationship. When courts fail to recognize and protect the primary attachment relationship, children internalize the message that love is conditional and unreliable and dangerous. Middle school childhood, ages 8 to 12. The cognitive assault on reality. Between ages 8 and 12, children develop more sophisticated cognitive abilities, including abstract reasoning, moral development, and perspective taking. Post-separation legal abuse during this period becomes a psychological assault on their emerging understanding of truth, justice, and family loyalty. Children in this developmental stage commonly experience moral injury, and confusion. As their sense of justice develops, children become acutely aware of the unfairness of legal proceedings that separate them from their primary caregiver. They may struggle with profound questions about why adults, particularly authorities like judges, would make decisions that feel so wrong. This creates what psychologists term moral injury, a violation of deeply held moral beliefs that can lead to spiritual and existential crisis. Cognitive dissonance. Children are often caught between their lived experience of love and safety with the protective parent and the narrative presented by the abusive parent or reinforced by court decisions. This dissonance between what they know to be true and what authority figures declare can lead to gaslighting effects, where children begin to doubt their own perceptions and memories. Academic difficulties. The cognitive load of processing family trauma leaves little mental energy for schoolwork. These children often develop concentration problems, declining grades, and school avoidance behaviors. Teachers may misinterpret these symptoms as learning disabilities or behavioral problems rather than trauma responses. Somatic complaints. Physical symptoms like headaches, stomach aches, and fatigue increase during this period as the body expresses psychological distress. These complaints often intensify before court dates, transitions between homes, or contact with the abusive parent. Premature adulthood. Many children in this situation develop parentified behaviors, taking on adult responsibilities like caring for younger siblings, monitoring parental moods, or attempting to mediate conflicts. This premature loss of childhood can have long-term developmental consequences. The deliberate disruption of the bond and the protective parent during these years is particularly insidious because it occurs as children are developing their identity and sense of belonging in the world. When courts fail to protect this relationship, children internalize the message that their perceptions cannot be trusted and that the world is fundamentally unjust and unsafe. Adolescence, ages 13 to 18. The fragmentation of identity. Adolescence represents a critical period for identity formation, autonomy development, and establishing values and beliefs. Post-separation legal abuse during this period attacks the very foundation of emerging identity, often resulting in fragmentation and long-term psychological consequences. Teenagers experiencing legal abuse typically demonstrate identity diffusion. The constant questioning of their reality and family relationships can lead to an unstable sense of self. These teens may struggle with fundamental questions about who they are, where they belong, and what they believe about relationships and trust. Risky behaviors. Many adolescents cope with the overwhelming stress of legal battles through self-harm, substance abuse, disordered eating, or premature sexual activity. These behaviors often represent attempts to regulate overwhelming emotions or gain control over their bodies when other aspects of their lives feel uncomfortable. Extreme loyalty conflicts. As teens develop their own values and perspectives, they may feel forced to choose between parents, particularly when one parent engages in alienating behaviors. This can result in either complete alignment with one parent, often the abusive one, or rejection of both parents as they attempt to establish their own identity. Relationship difficulties. The disruption of their primary attachment relationship during these formative years often lead to difficulties with peer relationships, intimacy, and boundaries. These teens may become either overly guarded and distrustful or overly eager to please and accommodate others in relationships. Legal system involvement. Some adolescents, particularly those who express strong preferences about custody arrangements, may find themselves directly involved in legal proceedings. This can include being interviewed by guardian ad litem, court evaluators, or even testifying in court. Experiences that can be re-traumatizing and developmentally inappropriate. Mental health crisis. The combination of hormonal changes, brain development, and extreme stress can precipitate serious mental health conditions, including depression, anxiety disorders, PTSD, and emergent personality disorders. Suicide risk is particularly elevated among teens experiencing this form of trauma. The deliberate disruption of the bond with their protective parent during adolescence is especially devastating as it occurs during the critical period of identity formation. This disruption can lead to a fragmented sense of self, making it difficult for teens to develop a coherent and stable identity. The constant stress and uncertainty of legal battles can also exacerbate existing mental health issues or trigger new ones, such as depression, anxiety, and post-traumatic stress disorder. These teens may struggle with feelings of abandonment, betrayal, and deep sense of injustice, which can affect their ability to form healthy relationships and trust others in the future. There is also some long-term consequences. The trauma experienced by children during post-separation legal abuse can have long-lasting effects that extend into adulthood. Some of the potential long-term consequences include attachment disorders. Children who experience disrupted attachment bonds may develop attachment disorders, which can affect their ability to form secure and healthy relationships throughout their lives. This can lead to difficulties in romantic relationships, friendships, and even parent-child relationships in the future. Mental health issues. The chronic stress and trauma of legal abuse can increase the risk of developing mental health disorders, including depression, anxiety, and PTSD. These conditions can persist into adulthood, affecting overall well-being and quality of life. Substance abuse. Some individuals may turn to substance abuse as a coping mechanism for the emotional pain and stress experienced during childhood. This can lead to addiction and other related health problems. Academic and career challenges. The cognitive and emotional energy diverted to coping with family trauma can result in academic difficulties and underachievement. This can affect future career prospects and economic stability. Intergenerational trauma. The effects of post-separation legal abuse can be passed down to future generations, creating a cycle of trauma and dysfunction within families. Children who experience this type of abuse may be more likely to become involved in abusive relationships themselves or to struggle with parenting their own children. Protective factors and resilience. While the impact of post-separation legal abuse is profound, it is essential to recognize that children possess inherent resilience. Protective factors that can mitigate the effects of trauma include stable and supportive relationships. Maintaining a strong, supportive relationship with the protective parent can provide a sense of security and stability. Other supportive relationships, such as with extended family, friends, or mentors, can be crucial. Trauma-informed care. Access to trauma-informed mental health services can help children process their experiences and develop coping strategies. Therapies such as cognitive behavioral therapy, eye movement desensitization and reprocessing, and play therapy can be particularly effective. Consistent routines and structure. Establishing consistent routines and structure in the child's life can provide a sense of predictability and control, which is essential for healing. Educational support. Schools and educators can play a vital role in supporting children affected by legal abuse. Providing academic accommodations, emotional support, and a safe environment can help children thrive despite their challenges. Legal advocacy. Advocating for legal reforms that recognize and address post separation legal abuse is crucial. This includes training judges and legal professionals to identify and respond to patterns of abuse, as well as implementing policies that prioritize the best interest of the child. Post separation legal abuse represents a hidden and insidious form of trauma that affects children across all developmental stages. The deliberate disruption of the bond with the protective parent serves to maintain power and control over the survivor, inflicting profound and lasting wounds on the children caught in the crossfire. Understanding the unique impacts of this trauma on children from infancy through adolescence is the first step to developing effective interventions and support systems. By recognizing the signs of legal abuse, advocating for system changes, and providing trauma-informed care, we can begin to mitigate the devastating effects of this form of violence. It is crucial to prioritize the well-being and safety of children, ensuring that they have the support and resources needed to heal and thrive despite the challenges they face. Only through a comprehensive and compassionate approach we can hope to break the cycle of abuse and provide a brighter future for the silent victims of post-separation legal abuse.